What's worse than being born poor in a Democrat city? I think a couple of things. One, being born poor in any other country would be worse. I think being aborted would be worse. But here's the point I don't want you to miss as we talk about these cities that are controlled by Democrats and Democrats in general in this country. Don't miss this. If we actually solved poverty in the whole country, no more poor people, Democrats would go out of business. They only exist as long as there is a huge pool of poor people. You need to get that. And what I want to point out is we have these cities, especially we see Seattle, we see Minneapolis, you can add LA, Chicago, New York, southern cities, Houston, Atlanta. These are places totally controlled by Democrats. Yet that's where all the pain and agony is. That's where the black on black crime is. That's where the poverty is so strong. That's where we find income inequality. That's really where we find the ultimate, systemic racism. You go through the problems that Democrats scream about, you find it most evident where they control. Now, here's the problem. When Democrats don't have opposing viewpoints, and that's why they try to silence people like me so much, when there's no debate in these Democrat communities, and there's very little, then what they present is nothing more than propaganda. Because they can say in every situation when a problem arises, oh, well, you know what, we just don't have enough money. We got to get more money from the people, and we have to give more power to the government. That's the only debate that happens with Democrats. How much more money from taxpayers? How much more power do we give to the government? That's why when these cities are just as awful as they are, you hear so much about socialism, because Democrat policies that have no debate, they lead right straight to socialism. And by the way, socialism is just like Democrat policies. It can only exist if there's no debate. It cannot stand up to history, to economics, to politics, and even governance. If opposing viewpoints are allowed, socialism will fail just as it has in every situation before. Now, let me just remind you where poor people come from. I think the two greatest sources for Democrats, one, are mothers who don't have fathers for their babies, at least not in the home. That's pretty much guaranteed poor people for life in this country. Another great source of poor people is illegal immigrants. That's why Democrats are all for open borders, because they know they'll tell you that, oh no, immigrants help our economy. They're doctors and lawyers. No, they're not. They're poor. They can't even pay for a Big Mac when they cross the border. So immediately when they get onto our land, we are responsible for giving them every handout they need to survive. Hello, Democrats. Their pool has just gotten bigger. An added benefit, they're not white. Nothing is worse in this country. Nothing is worse than being born poor where Democrats are in control.